say, can you see by the dawn's early light?
Please welcome our host and MC for today, the new director of our Veterans Resource Center, Matt Durkee.
Thank you, everybody, and welcome for being here. Hello, and welcome to Edmonds College 10th Annual Veterans Day Celebration. I am Mathew, Durkee, U.S. Army veteran, and the director of the Edmonds College Veterans Resource Center. I would like to take a moment and recognize the hard work of all the people that put on this Veterans Recognition Ceremony, and the fact that we have been presenting this ceremony for 10 years. I want to take a moment and say thank you to our veteran community for your service. From all of us here at Edmonds College, thank you. This year, we will be recognizing the contribution of our indigenous communities to the American military. And now I would like to welcome Eduardo Torres, the Assistant Director of CECL, to offer the land acknowledgement. Eduardo?
Thank you, Matt. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well. My name is Eduardo Torres, and I'm the Assistant Director for the Center for Student Engagement and Leadership, and let's begin with our land acknowledgement. Here at Edmonds College, we recognize that we are in the lands of the Stahopes, or the Puyallup and Snohomish tribes of the Coastal Palish peoples. We honor this today, and as we put our hands to you, in honor of thank you for as you are rightful sovereign to this land. As we continue, past, present, and future, take care of this land we reside in. Thank you, and enjoy today. I'm back here. Without further ado, I want to welcome and thanks to our wonderful president, Dr. Amit Singh.
Good afternoon. It's good to see everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Both in person and virtually. I know that people are watching us online. First, I want to acknowledge, first of all, I cannot see, the light is so bright. So, I want to acknowledge a few special guests with us today. I know we have some elected officials in the audience, and I saw, and I may miss someone, then I may ask you to just stand up. So Shannon Session, Councilwoman, City of Linwood, thank you for being here. And you are with us with your daughter who joined Air Force in January, so thank you for being here. And your husband, of course, thank you. And I saw Will Chan, City of Edmonds Councilman. And I just saw Dr. Steve Woodard, Mount Lake Terrace Councilman. Thank you. Did I miss anyone? Also want to acknowledge our trustee, Board of Trustees, Wally Wefter. Thank you for being here. So again, thank you for joining us for our 10th Veterans Day ceremony. Today, we gather to pay our respects and celebrate those who have served in the U.S. military. Many students, staff, and faculty have served our nation in armed forces. For that, the Edmonds College community thanks you. Your dedication and service have preserved our freedom to teach and learn in peace. Today, our thoughts turn to Native American veterans who dedicated their lives in service to our country. We recognize that they have served with distinction throughout our military history. Today, we are honored to have Phill Allen of the Nez Perce tribe as our guest speaker. As our program begins, I would like to thank our staff in the Veterans Resource Center, Matt Durkee, Angie Karanja, and Dennis Gibb, for their dedicated service and commitment to supporting our veterans on campus. Thank you.
Dr. Singh, we thank you for your kind words and the amazing support to the Veterans Resource Center here at Edmonds College. For those unfamiliar with military culture, it is a tradition to begin a ceremony by posting the colors. The posting of the colors is a time-honored American tradition This year, posting colors will be done by one of our students and community members, Ismail Abu-Bekr and Carl Kerfis. And to the colors will be played by Edmonds College Soundstation, led by Kirk, Marcy, will perform the national anthem. And the saying of the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by our own Dennis Gibb, who is our Edmonds College Homeless Veterans Outreach Specialist. At this time, please rise as we post the colors. Please post the colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
At this time, please stay standing as we do our Pledge of Allegiance by Dennis Gibb. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You can please be seated. So, thank you, Dennis Gibb. We would like to recognize some special groups of people. First, we'd like to acknowledge everyone currently serving in the armed forces. If you would like to be recognized, we ask that you stand up. These are the people who have taken an oath to serve and be part of something greater than themselves. There is no greater calling nor any higher possible sacrifice. We would also like to recognize anyone who is a veteran. If you'd like to be recognized, we ask that you please stand and be recognized. The people that are standing have taken the oath of service and have done their duty. The people standing have continued the establishment of the foundation to keep our freedoms and the way of life safe and secure. We would also like to acknowledge anyone who is a family member of a veteran or someone currently or about to serve. Please stand up and be recognized. These brave persons are the reasons those in uniform do what we do. They watch us go and wait for us to come home. Perhaps it is the hardest job of all. Last and perhaps most importantly, we acknowledge those who have made a supreme sacrifice for our freedom and the family members they have left behind. They may be gone from us physically, but they will not be forgotten. We remember their courage and selflessness and are inspired by it in our daily lives, and especially today as we face and overcome our great challenges together. At this time, I would like to introduce our guest speaker, Phill Allen of the Nez Perce tribe and former Idaho Army National Guard from 1988 to 1992. Phill Allen lives in Idaho, where he works for the Nez Perce tribe. He has also in the past taught classes at Northwest Indian College, Washington State University. Phill is currently a doctoral student at Washington State University, has a master's degree from Wazoo and a BA degree. Phill enjoys going to powwows, where he feels humbled to be honored as a Native veteran elder, which he just told me recently. He's humbled about that. I would like to introduce Phill Allen.
I don't know if is the mic on? You hear okay? All right, well, good afternoon. I'm thrilled to be here. As you heard, I worked at Northwest Indian College for 14 years, so I'm familiar with the area. I live in Lapwai, Idaho. I'm a Nez Perce tribe member. If you see my beadwork, I come from the Joseph band out of Willow. A lot of you might know. I don't use the term chief very often, but Joseph. Yeah, it was interesting to be asked with Mathew. Actually, we have some colleagues from Washington State University who finished their PhDs. I'm taking my time. You know, just COVID had affected the world, affected us, and it's been tough. I'm actually going to write a chapter, hopefully in my dissertation, which talks about how COVID had affected me with my family, with my academics, with just the normal, even powwow life. If you're wondering what I'm wearing, it's a grass dance outfit. This is what I do all summer long. Keeps me young, as you're telling. I'm almost 60, so it's scary to kind of be like an elder status. But I dance with the older people, so it kind of weirds me out a little bit. So I'm kind of like in denial yet. But I enjoy it very much. And again, I just wanted, it wasn't really for shock value or anything. I just want to show you, you can also be a veteran. And it's interesting how you guys did the flag. It's a little bit different how we do it. Almost every powwow you go to, every celebration, we acknowledge the veterans, a big aspect, big part of our cultural, what we do. I've had non-Native veterans come to me and cry and say, oh, wow, I've never been acknowledged. Because they'll say, come on out, every veteran. It'd be like me telling you all to line up at the flag and come in with all the dancers. And I mean, it's a big honor. So we take it very seriously. Little corrections. I don't work for the Nez Perce tribe, Mathew. I work for with Nez Perce Tourism, which is a tribally owned. Actually, the owner of that, her little sister actually plays basketball for you guys. So I'm kind of excited. So I was hoping to see her before we left. But yeah, it's just a little bit about me. I grew up in Lapwai. I went to the University of Idaho. I did all kinds of different jobs, and I finally found something I liked, and that was to be able to teach. And I've been a teacher for about 20-some years. Well, I took off, 3 years because of COVID, so I hope to get back to that. Also, this idea of veteran. I remember I was telling my friend Christina, who's sitting over here, who's also a fellow veteran, and her son is also a Nez Perce tribal member, and we travel around during the summers and go. And I remember when she first started running around with me, I'd tell her, let's get out there. She's like, well, I'm not Native. I was, well, that's okay. You need to get out there. You're a veteran. You're representing your family. You're representing this country. I know I see my mirrors. That does that all the time when I'm at powwows. People are like, Phill. But, just to understand, with my life, I've really been missing teaching. This is normal for me to be up here in front of everybody. You get in front of Mike. I can talk forever, so you guys got to give me time, like how much time I got. Because I can talk and talk and talk. I guess that's one of the norm things about, teaching college, is you just get up and talk. But the idea of veteran was difficult for me at first. And Mathew and I talked about this. When early on in the years when I was dancing, and they say, oh, the veterans, we need veterans come out. And I would just kind of sit back. My uncles are all there used to be a lot of veterans. A lot of them are gone now. And they'd be all going out and doing that. And then they'd always ask, well, how come you don't go out there? And it's something him and I talked about. I said, well, I was supposed to go to Iraq, but I didn't go. I'm only in the National Guard. All right? I have other friends who are like me too. They're at Coast Guard, but we don't feel like we're real veterans. But I went to Fort Benning, Georgia. I went 2 summers over there, so I trained just like any other soldier. And I'm sorry, Marines, but you guys, we have hard training too. I hear that amongst all my military family. We tease each other. And for us as Native people, and we're indigenous, you're in our homelands, all of you. If you're not indigenous, if you're Latino, Asian, white, whatever, African, you're visitors to this country, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that, but the thing is that we need to kind of break those stereotypes, break those profiles. You know, what is a veteran? And a lot of work I've done, although I haven't been teaching, I do bias training, anti-bias training. I like to work with policemen or churches or whatever. I've walked into all white churches, not like dressed like this, but I'll walk in and they're kind of, you know, in my hometowns, and I say, hey, welcome to my homelands. You know, like, well, we've been here for all our life. So they take it kind of differently, and you're like, oh. No, all I'm saying is, you know, we talked about land acknowledgement. That's real. You're in the homelands. And these people here, you know, those years I worked with alumni, I'd come over for 10, 12, 2 weeks. And I would get like, I'm ready to go home. I love you, my Lummi people, but this isn't my home. I need to go back over the river, go back into Nimipu country. And that's real. And that's really what makes us indigenous, that you're attached to the land. The Creator gave us these languages, these foods, you know, this understanding. And this idea about veterans, I've had this question asked to me even when I first went in. And I did the oath and the whole spiel. People are like, why? Why do you do that? These white people took our land. They, you know, blah, blah, blah. And my dad was a World War II veteran. My dad was at, I don't know what they call it, Auschwitz or wherever they were doing the ovens. My dad was a prison guard. He was the one that took them down and took the dead man walking. Took him last meal and took him down to be hung. That was hard dealing with my dad after my mother passed away March 9th, 1974, and he kind of fell into drinking a little bit. And I think this is before PTSD was really confirmed as a real issue. You know, and he'd fall back into those issues of, you know, being traumatic, you know, like all these things that happened to me. He was actually, when I went to the National Guard, he was actually my younger brother, Nelson, because my friend was the recruiter at Pullman at Washington State. And we went through the ASVAB and did all the things. I was just doing it with him because he's 4 years younger than me. He was going to do it. And at the last minute, he backs out. So I'm like, and of course, the recruiter's my friend, a personal friend. Well, Phil, you did the whole thing. You might as well go. So here I am, July 1st, flying out of Spokane, Washington. First time I ever got on a plane, going to Atlanta, Georgia, heading off to Fort Benning, Georgia. And there was times where I was thinking, why am I doing this? Why did I do this? You know, but I thought, hey, and you think culturally, like for us as warrior people, and I don't mean like we go to war and kill each other. That's just not how it works. I know people have this fantasy idea about romanticizing the planes and the horses and the wars and the bows and arrows and the great bonnets. That's not how, and those of you that live here, that's not their culture. But we always get put under this umbrella that we're all like that. But I will tell you, and the Lummies will tell you, and all the people that live here will tell you, we are not the same. Just like I taught U.S. history, that's actually my specialty, U.S. history and political science, where I had England, France, and Spain. Oh, Lord, would you never say you're from there when you're not? So I used to make that example. I used to tell my white students, because I'd ask them questions, where are you from? Oh, we're from... No, I'm like, where are you from? And it sounds funny because I used to do this race class, and that question always come up to people who would come up to somebody who's Asian or whatever, like, where are you from? No, really, where are you from? Right? And you're like, well, what do you mean? I'm from California. Oh, I'm from Spokane. I'm from Lewiston, Idaho. No, where are you from? That question gets tiring. I'll be honest with you, it gets tiring. And so, kind of back to my question about veterans. So, I got to Fort Benning, I did the whole spiel, basic training and stuff. I did it in 2 summers. And I don't know if I should just do it all at once, but I thought, I gotta go back, do AIT training. But I was proud, my dad was proud of me. He said, son, I'm so glad you're doing what you're doing. I'm happy that you're, you know, who cares what anybody says? We're reading a book right now, it's about Horace Axtell. Wisdoms of, you can get that online. Horace Axtell, Margaret Aragon, who passed away, who used to be married to John Harrington, Native American astronaut. Good friend of mine. But you think about what our veterans, what do we do? And I'll step back even further, like when I used to step back and not think I was worthy to be out there with all those wartime veterans, ones who actually full-time went to other countries. When my uncle pulled me aside, you need to be out there. You did all the training. And I have a Coast Guard brother too. We saw him at powwow last week, and a lot of times he don't get out there, and that kind of makes me mad. Dude, you're a veteran. You need to be out here. And real quick, there was a story, and it's about veteran stuff. At Washington State University, well, actually not Washington State, excuse me, get my powwows, I powwow a lot. Clearwater River Casino, we had our powwow October, like the second week in October. And for us as Nimipu, as Nez Perce, we have different ways, and all the different tribal groups, nations, we have our own ways of how we take care of feathers. These are eagle plumes feathers, just if you're wondering. And when a feather drops off an outfit or regalia, and they're not costumes, so I'm going to make that very clear to all of you here, do not use that term costume, that's very offensive to me. It's not something we dress up and go trick-or-treating and stuff like that, right? Anyway, feather drop. And we're like, okay, we need, so for Nez Perce, we do a ceremony. We have 4 veterans. And they don't have to be in regalia. They just have to be 4 veterans. 10, 12, 20 years ago, there used to be a slew of Nez Perce or local veterans. Now, I'm at this powwow with thousands of people. Phil, where's Phil? I'm like, we need veterans, 4 veterans. So I'm dressed like this. Actually, I had this outfit. No, I had my other outfit. But anyway, I get out there. I'm standing there, and everybody's waiting. Where's all the other veterans at? A lot of them are much older now, elderly. Can't get up and get out. And because there's a ceremony, a feather goes down, and we have a drum that goes, and then we go around and we do this whole ceremony. And a whip man, we have whip man in our area. And my brother Tush Powaki says, Philip, you're going to have to pick up the feather. I've never done that before, ever. Because I always thought it was for the elder veterans, the more seasoned veterans. But it was just me at first, and then my Uncle Leroy, who's been one of our veterans, he's a dad, he's 82, 83, something. But he come running out, all right, and I go, all right, there's my uncle. He comes out, and we're doing usually it's 4 of us, it's just 2, so we're doing the ceremony. And I go, all right, uncle, you can pick it up, you can pick up the feather. Nope. You need to do that. That's where my denial about being an elder, like, oh, you need to do that. I never did this before. Because you know what, so real quick for our ceremony, I grabbed a fan and I picked it up, and we took it to the drum. I laid it down on the drum and then they stopped. And we get out, and I pick up I'm having the feather. And many times that person that holds the feather, or that drops the feather, whether it be a grass dancer, chicken dancer, whoever drops it, they have to get money and tobacco and stuff, and they stand up here, and if they want to buy the feather back from me, because that feather is looked at as a fallen veteran, a fallen warrior. It sounds crazy, but that's just some of the things that we've done for forever. So here I am up, standing here with the mic, looking at my whip man buddy, like, what do I do? What do I say? And all those times I've done it many, many times, right? Until it's you. Being able to, and I'm standing there, and so I had to get up and talk, and I got up and I told him, hey, all of you in the audience, everybody's here, first time ever, I've never done this before. I mean, I've done the ceremony, I was part of the ceremony, because we usually 4 veterans, right? But I was the first time I ever picked the feather up, put it on the drum, that's a high honor. Whew, talk about nervous. And I'm not nervous, as you guys can tell, I can talk, I love talking, I love being in front of class, I love being in front of audiences and stuff, it's part of who I am. But anyway, that's just kind of an idea of how important a veteran is. And what the scary part is, and all of us go this, which makes us all human, is that we have to deal with death. That's a reality. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to start running these ceremonies. They're going to say, Phill Allen, we need you up here. Maybe 10 years from now, I'm close to 70, I'll be out there directing the younger ones. That's how important the veteran status is. I didn't know at the time because there was always that animosity between the different, weekend warriors. I hated that. That's kind of what made me step back, like, or like when you hear other military outfit, talk bad about the other ones. I don't like that at all. I don't think Marines are better than Army. I don't think Army is better than Navy. But I hear that all the time, and I don't like it. Because we all did the same thing as my brother over here said. We all took the oath, and I still will. I'd still fight. And why? And go back to my original question. Why do Native people join the military? When these white people supposedly conquered us and all this and that, right? And I said, we have more to fight for than anybody. This is our homelands. We are from this land. And so I always take pride in that. So it took me a lot of years to be able to consider myself a veteran, like a worthy veteran. But I also think about this too. I've been a college teacher. I've taught 30 plus different courses in my career without a PhD. People are like, wow, how'd you do that? How come you're so experienced? I kind of came into the teaching profession at a time when they needed Native faculty. When Native studies was starting to become an important aspect of the college experience, or diversity. I worked at Washington State University. It was my last teaching gig, and I was working my doctorate there. I'm still going to go back. I worked at North Idaho College in Coeur d'Alene 20 years ago. And if you guys remember about Coeur d'Alene, Hayden Lake, where they had all the racist compound and all that? And actually, I was in Idaho Army Reserves in Hayden Lake, and that's when I decided I'm not going to be part of that unit, not in Hayden Lake. Because I was worried. I was worried about something happening to me because how I look. Worked at University of Idaho off and on for many summers. Taught upward bound to teachers, students who were trying to get credits to graduate. I worked at Northwest Indian College 14 years. I enjoyed it. And really, when I first started teaching there, I had to relearn myself. Because when you teach, it's a never ending, you always learn. And here I was teaching to all these different tribal kids, not even kids, I even had elders in my classes. That was kind of scary, having elders sitting there. I remember one of my first classes at Lapway, between Lapway and Kamia, there's 70 miles between us, and we're on what we used to call ITV, like the Zoom. We had these big screens, and they'd watch me, and we'd talk. And I had elders, and they're older than me, and I'm talking about Nez Perce history, right? Partially out of the book and partially out of my memory. And it was really scary, because I'm thinking, I had to get over that too, like, okay, I'm the teacher. So you might be an elder, and you might be the president of a college, but you're in my class, and I'm here to teach you and help you learn. Does that make sense? So I think that's where a lot of us, when you get into teaching, I have colleagues who are getting their doctorates before they're 30 years old. That's crazy. I wish I would have known that. I would have skipped my master's. I would have gotten my PhD 25 years ago. So, is there anything else? I can go on forever. I can just jump on different stuff. I miss doing this a lot. Every day going to work and you get that stand front and talk about whatever. But getting any questions? Okay. I don't know how much longer I got, but I'm hoping this is interesting to you. I'll tell you one thing about my veteran status. Actually, next weekend we're going to go to White Swan, Washington, and they have veterans powwows everywhere. So freaking cool. Dedicated to veterans. Awesome. All over the country, you go into different areas of the country, and they're having veterans powwows dedicated to veterans, Native veterans. And I like to dance in what they call specials, like special contests where you dance for money or blankets or whatever. I've been really fortunate. I've been really lucky. And then some come up and say, get up here. And you're standing there, and all right, I won some money, yay. Everybody's looking at you and clapping for you. It's exciting. But then the other part of it, though, I don't just dance for money, I dance because this is healthy for me. This is healthy for me. I'm sure, like, we have the holidays coming up. We're all going to experience Christmas, Thanksgiving, all these American holidays. I've heard that, too, because I taught Native Studies for 15 years. One of the big things that we talk about is our identity. And that's just not Native people. That's white people, black people, Native, every people. Everybody has culture. Everybody has history. And the big thing about it, and I've been really fortunate, because all those colleges I worked for, I never had to put an application in, I had to interview. They wanted me because it said, we need a Native faculty. So I've been really lucky, really lucky. And then when you have a passion for something, I'm hoping that you guys feel that from me. I have a passion for what we do as veterans, what we do as an educator. Because there's so many things that we can change in this world. I know elections are going on today. That's another thing. It's really hard to convince Native people. You need to get out and vote. Well, we don't now. They don't care about us. So even as a Native person, I'm always encouraging my Native, even my own family. I get upset with my family. I even get prejudiced against as being a highly educated person. But I don't think about it that way. I'm just like, that's our civil duty, right? Isn't that our right? We need to do this. But you also have to remember, too, we have our own politics in our hometowns. Like small towns, we have our politics. But that's, anyway, that's a little bit about me. And like I said, this part of this is part of who I am. I can't separate this from Phill, the educator at a college, Phill as a veteran, Phill just as a human being. And I take pride in this very much. And I'm sure you veterans wearing your hats, you're proud of that hat. I'm proud of this very much. I'm not embarrassed. I used to be at one point because our self-identification and our self-esteem is big. We need that in all our classrooms. I saw the shooting that happened in Seattle this morning. Why? It's a whole different world that a lot of you are my age or older. I mean, we didn't grow up. We didn't lock our doors. We didn't worry about people stealing our, whatever. I mean, even my little hometown in Lapway, I live in tribal housing, and we have to lock our doors. We have to lock our cars. We have to lock our outdoor, like a garage where you have closets outside because of drugs, because of whatever. That hits everybody, not just black people, Native people of color. It happens everywhere. But anyway, those of you who are online watching, I want to thank my Nez Perce people. And I'm always trying to be proud. We actually have a contingent of Nez Perces heading to Washington, D.C. for the big Native Veterans thing that's going on. And they were like, well, how come you're not going? I was like, yeah, well, I had this. I said, I want to honor my thing with Matt. And then plus I want to go powwow this weekend. I want to go dance. But this really helps me. It helps me. And what's so scary when you get older? I mean, even just doing a natural move, you feel something. You're like, oh my gosh, not cool. But that's part of the aging process. So I don't know how much longer, or if you have a question for me, or anybody have a question, or?
I think we got about, if you want to wrap it up.
Okay, so we'll wrap that up. And again, if you have any questions, I consider myself a resource. I've actually came here to this campus about 20-some years ago for the powwow. I was telling them, I haven't been there since like 94 or something like that, because I remember it was next to the baseball field, and we were outside watching baseball, and we had to run in. Is it our turn to dance? That's how long ago that was. And I know this road back and forth to Bellingham. I drove it many. It took it's 208 miles, not 208 miles from there to Ellensburg, from Ellensburg to Bellingham. I mean, I knew exactly like how many miles, how much gas it took. Now it's different now because the gas is crazy. So I brought my friend Christina, who's my good friend, and I was happy that her and I are good friends. Her dad was a veteran, my dad was a veteran. And anyway, so with that, I just want you to acknowledge the lands that you reside on. To acknowledge people like Matt who's working hard for the veteran. People like myself and other people in education. We're educated. We want the world to be better. And how do we do that? And education is a big part of it. My dad at one time told me, and this might sound racist and crazy, but this is what my dad came out of World War II saying. This is a white man's world. You have to be able to survive in it. And that he meant by getting educated. Because back then, everybody came out. 8th grade was fine. Right? And I didn't like physical labor. I hated doing lawnmowers, I'll be honest. And so I was like, I want to get educated. I don't want to be working. And nothing wrong with it. It's just I just physically don't like doing those things. So I want to thank Matt and the president and the college campus and everybody who's logged in. I hope I got a few people to log in and watch what I'm doing, because the people always like, what are you doing now? Because I do a lot of educational stuff. I do things with Boise, and I try to work on educational products. But anyway, I hope I entertained you a little bit and informed you a little bit. And I think that's it for me, right, Matt?
Thank you, Phil. And we are honored and thank you for sharing your story to us and now. It's a story to us. And now, the following slideshow has been part of each celebration since we started. These pictures honor our active and retired military service members who are currently part of Edmonds College community. The video was produced by our Marine veteran, Fernando Moratala, who works at the Office of Safety and Security. The Armed Force Medley is performed by Edmonds College Soundstation.
That song speaks of heroes who, more than self, their country loved. From the days of our early American patriots through current conflicts, these are the men and women who have served our country in military service.
We want to recognize those of you who have served or are serving in our armed forces, and so we invite you to stand when the theme song for your branch of service is sung. Please allow us to honor you today.
Air Force.
Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder. Adam boys, give it a gun. Down we dive, spouting our flame from under. Off with one terrible roar. We live in fame, or go down in flame, for nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force.
Army.
First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along. When it's high, high, hey, the army's on its way. Count off the cadence that is strong. For wherever we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along.
Coast Guard.
We're always ready for the call. We place our trust in thee. Through surf and storm and howling gale, high shall our purpose be. Semper Paratus is our guide, our fame, our glory too. To fight, to save, or fight and die, I Coast Guard, we are for you.
Navy.
Anchors away, my boys, anchors away. Farewell to college joys, we sail at break of day. Hey, 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 through our last night on shore, hail to the fall. Until we meet once more, here's wishing you a happy voyage home.
Marines.
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the
hand to all our servicemen and women.
Thank you. Before I retire the colors, I wanted to recognize something that's over here to my left, your right. The white table symbolizes the POW, MIA, missing soldier, prisoner of war. These we do at all ceremonies to recognize those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice or who are not here sitting with us. So this is a way for us to honor them, to respect the memories of those that have not come home yet. So I just wanted to recognize that before we did that. So that's something we do. Color guard, please retire the colors. Oh, please stand up. Sorry. Please be seated. So this concludes our ceremony. Thank you for attending today's Veterans Day ceremony. We want every person who have ever served our country in the military to know how deeply we appreciate your service and sacrifice. Thank you. We thank this year's committee for another wonderful event. Special thanks to Dr. Singh, Soundstation, our Edmonds students, Veterans Color Guard, and community member, and all of who attended this event to honor and celebrate our veterans. We invite you to all come to visit the world's finest Veterans Resource Center. I think somebody put that in there. It's on the second floor of Linwood Hall. Come meet some of our student veterans and enjoy a cup of real military coffee. Some say it's good, some say it'll be interesting, and some refreshments. So at this time, thank you again for coming, and I appreciate everybody for showing up. Thank you for everybody here. And also,
Oh, say, can you see